My name is Lucas, and this is the last chapter, chapter 17 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the Man with Two Faces. It was Quirrell. You, gasped Harry. Quirrell smiled his face. He wasn't twitching at all. Me, he said calmly. I wondered whether I'd be making you here, Potter, but I thought Snape. Severus? Quirrell laughed, and it wasn't his usual quivering terrible either. By cold, sharp, yes, Severus does seem that type, doesn't he? So useful to have him swooping around like an overgrown bat. Next to him, who would suspect Professor Quirrell? Harry couldn't take it in. This couldn't be true. It couldn't be Snape. Tried to kill me. No. I tried to kill you. Your friend Miss Granger accidentally knocked me over as she rushed to set fire to Snape at that Quidditch match. She broke my eye contact to you. A few seconds later, I would have gotten you off that broom. I'd managed it before Snape wasn't muttering a counter curse. Trying to save you. Snape was trying to save me? Of course, said Quirrell cruelly. You think he wanted to referee your match? Why do you think he wanted to referee your next match? He was trying to make sure I didn't do it again. Funny, really. He needn't have been bothered. I couldn't do anything with Dumbledore watching. All the other teachers thought Snape was trying to stop Gryffindor from winning. He did make himself unpopular, and what a waste of time, when after all that, I'm going to kill you tonight. Quirrell snapped his fingers. Rope sprang out of thin air and wrapped tightly around Harry. You're too nosy to live, Potter, scurrying around the school on Halloween like that before. All I know is you'd seen me coming to school, looking at what was guarding the stone. You let the troll in. Certainly, I have a special gift with trolls. You must have seen what I did to the one in the chamber back there. Unfortunately, while everyone else was running around looking for Snape had already suspected me, went straight to the third floor to head me off. Not only did my troll fail to beat you, death, that three-headed dog demon managed to bite Snape's leg off properly. Now wait, quietly, Potter. I need to examine this interesting mirror. It was the only thing that Harry realized was standing behind him. Quirrell, it was a mirror over your eyes. This mirror is the key to finding the stone, Quirrell murmured, tapping his way around the frame. Trust Dumbledore to come up with something like this, but he's in London. I'll be far away by the time he gets back. All Harry could think of was doing to keep Quirrell from stopping him and concentrating on the mirror. I saw you and Snape in the forest, he blurted out. Yes, said Quirrell idly, walking to the mirror to look at the back. He was on to me by that time, trying to figure out how far I'd gotten. He expected me along, tried to frighten me, as though he could when I had Lord Voldemort on my side. Quirrell came back from behind the mirror and stared hungrily into it. See the stone? I'm presenting it to my master. But where is it? Harry struggled against the ropes binding him, but they didn't give. He had to keep Quirrell from giving his whole attention to his mirror. But Snape's always seemed to hate me too much. Oh, he does, said Quirrell casually. Heavens, yes. Who was at Hogwarts with you, your father? He didn't know you. They loathed each other, but never wanted you dead. But I heard you a few days ago sobbing. I thought Snape was threatening you. For the first time, a spasm of fear flitted across Quirrell's face. Sometimes, he said, I find it hard to follow my master's instructions. He's a great wizard, and I am weak. You mean he was there when in the classroom with you? He gasped. He's with me wherever I go, said Quirrell quickly. I met him when I traveled around the world. A foolish young man I was then, full of ridiculous ideas about good and evil. Lord Voldemort showed me how wrong I was. There was no good and evil. There is the only power too weak to seek it. Since then, I have served him faithfully. Although I have let him down many times, he has had to be very hard on me. Quirrell shivered sometimes. Quirrell shivered suddenly. He does not forgive mistakes easily. When I failed to steal the stone from Gringotts, he was most displeased. He would punish me. He decided he would have kept me closer to watch on me. Squirrel voices trailed away. Harry was remembering this trip to Diagon Alley. How could he have been so stupid? He had seen Quirrell there that every day, his hands shaking with him in the leaky cauldron. Quirrell cursed under his breath. I don't understand. This stone inside of the mirror, should I break it? Harry's mind was racing. What I want more than anything else in the world at this moment, he thought, is to find the stone before Quirrell does. So if I look in the mirror, I should see myself finding it, which means I'll see where it's hidden. But how can I look without Quirrell realizing what I'm up to? He tried to edge to the left to get in front of the glass without Quirrell noticing, but the ropes, his ankles were too tight and tripped and fell. Quirrell's ignore him. He's still taking it to himself. What does this mirror do? He asked. How does it work? Help me, master. And Harry's word, a voice answered, and the voice seemed to come from Quirrell himself. Use the boy. Use the boy. Quirrell rounded to Harry. Yes, Potter. Come here. Harry clapped his hands at once, and the rope behind Harry fell off. Harry slowly got to his feet. Come here, Quirrell repeated. Look in that mirror and tell me what you see. Harry walked toward the mirror. I must lie, he thought desperately. I must look around and lie about what I see, that's all. Quirrell moved close behind him. Harry breathed a few funny smells that seemed to come from Quirrell's turban. He closed his eyes, stepped in front of the mirror, and opened them again. He saw his reflection, pale, scared, looking at first, but a moment later the reflection smiled at him, put his hands into his pocket, and pulled out the blood-red stone and winked, put it back in the stone in his pocket, and as did so, Harry felt something heavy drop into his real pocket. Somehow, incredibly, he had gotten the stone. Well, said Quirrell, impatient, what do we have? Harry screwed up his courage. I see myself shaking hands with Dumbledore, he invented. I've won the House Cup for Gryffindor. Quirrell cursed again. Get out of the way, he said. As Harry moved to the side, he felt the sorcerer's stone against his leg. Did Harry make a break for it? But he hadn't walked 5 paces before a voice spoke through the Quirrell. Was it moving? He lies, he lies. Potter, come back here, Quirrell shouted. Tell me the truth. What did you see? A high voice spoke to him. Let me speak to him, face to face. Master, you are not strong enough. I have strength enough for this. Harry felt as Devil's Snares was rooting him up to the spot. He couldn't move a muscle. Petrified, he watched Quirrell reach up and began to unwrap his turban. What was going on? The turban fell away. Quirrell's head looked strangely small without it. Then he turned slowly to the spot. Harry would have screamed, but he couldn't make a sound where there should have been. On the back of Quirrell's head, there was a face, the most terrible face Harry had ever seen. It was chalk white, with glaring red eyes, and slits for nostrils like a snake. Harry Potter, it whispered. Harry tried to step backward, but his leg couldn't move. See what I have become, see what I have become, they said. Mere shadow of import. I form only when I can share another's body. But there have always been those willing to let me into their hearts and minds. Unicorn blood has strengthened me. These past few weeks, you saw faithful drinking it for me in the forest. And once I have the elixir of life, I will be able to create the body of my own. And now, why don't you give me that stone in your pocket? So he knew. The feeling suddenly surged back in Harry's leg and it stumbled backward. Don't be a fool, snarled the face. Better save your own life and join me, or you'll meet the exact same end as their parents. They died begging me for mercy. Liar! Harry shouted suddenly. Quirrell was walking backward at him, so that Voldemort could still see him. His evil face was now smiling. How touching he is. It's always a value of bravery. Yes, the boy, your parents were brave. I killed your father first, and he put up a courageous fight, but your mother didn't have died. She was trying to protect you. Now give me the stone. Unless you want her to have died in vain. Never! Harry sprang toward the flame door. Voldemort screamed, Seize him! The next second, Harry felt Quirrell's hand close on his wrist. At once, a sharp needle pain seared across Harry's scar. His head felt as though it was about to split in two. He yelled, struggling with all of his might. To his surprise, Quirrell let go of him. The pain he had lessened. It looked around him wildly to see where Quirrell was gone. He saw him hunched in pain, looking at his fingers. There were blistering force in his eyes. Seize him! Seize him! Shrieked Voldemort again. Quirrell Quirrell lunged, knocking Harry's clean off his feet, landing on top of him with both hands. He looked around Harry's neck. Harry's skull was almost blinding him in pain, yet he could not see Quirrell howling in agony. Master, I cannot hold him. My hands! My hands! Quirrell threw, pinning Harry to the ground with his knees, letting go of his neck, and stared bewildered at his own palms. Harry could see they looked burned, raw, red, shiny. Then kill him, fool, and be done! Screeched Voldemort. Quirrell raised his hand to perform a deadly curse, but Harry instinct reached up and grabbed Quirrell's face. Arrgh! Quirrell rolled off, and his face blistering, too. And Harry knew Quirrell couldn't touch his bare skin, now without suffering terrible pain. Their only chance to keep hold of Quirrell, keep him enough pain, was to stop him from doing a curse. Harry jumped to his feet. He caught Quirrell by the arm and hung him on as tight as he could. Harry screamed and tried to throw Harry off in pain. Harry's head was building. He couldn't see him. He could only hear Quirrell's terrible shrieks and Voldemort's yells of "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" and other voices, maybe in Harry's own head, crying, "Harry! Harry!" He felt Quirrell's arm wrench for down his own grasp, knew all was lost, and fell back into blackness, down, down, down. Something gold was glinting above him, said the snitch. He tried to catch it, but his arms were too heavy. He blinked. It wasn't the snitch at all. It was a pair of glasses. Now strange. He blinked again. The smiling face of Albus Dumbledore swam into view above him. "Good afternoon," said Dumbledore. Harry stared at him. Then he trembled. "Sir, the stone!" It was Quirrell. "He's got the stone. Sir, quick! Calm yourself, dear boy. You are a little behind the times," said Dumbledore. "Quirrell does not have the stone. Then who does?" Harry, please relax, or Madame Pomfrey will have me thrown you out." Harry swallowed and looked around him. He realized he must have been in the hospital wing. He was lying in a bed with white linen sheets next to him, the table piled high with what looked like half a candy shop. "Tokens from your friends and admirers," said Dumbledore, beaming. "What happened down in the dungeon between you and Professor Quirrell is a complete secret, so naturally the whole school knows. I believe your friends Mr. Fred and George Weasley were responsible for trying to send you a toilet seat. No doubt they thought it would amuse you. Madame Pomfrey, however, felt it might be very hygienic and confiscated it. How long have I been here?" 3 days. Mr. Ronald Weasley and Miss Granger will be most relieved when you've come round. They have been extremely worried. But, sir, the stone." "I see you are not distracted. Very well. The stone, Professor Quirrell did not manage to take it from you. I arrived to prevent that. Although you were doing very well on your own, I must say. You got Hermione's owl? Well, we must have crossed midair. No sooner I had reached London than it became clear to my place. She was the only one who had arrived in time to pull Quirrell off you." "It was you? I feared I might be too late. You nearly were. I couldn't have kept him stone much longer." "Not the stone, boy. The effort involved nearly killed you. For some terrible moment there, I was afraid of it. As for the stone, it has been destroyed." "Destroyed?" said Harry blankly. "Your best friend, Nicholas Flamel." "Oh, you know about Nicholas?" said Dumbledore, sounded quite delighted. "Do you know the thing properly, didn't you? Well, Nicholas and I have a little chat and agreed it's for the best." "But that means he's gonna end his life and will die, won't they?" "They have enough elixir stored for set their face in order, and then, yes, they will die." Dumbledore smiled, a look of amazement on Harry's face. "To one as a young man as you, I am sure it seems incredible, but Nicholas and Princess, it's really like going to bed after a very, 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 very long day. To the well-organized mind, death is but this next great adventure. You know, the stone is really not such a wonderful thing as money and life as you could want. The two things about most human beings, which is all above. The trouble is humans do not have a knack of choosing precisely those things that are worse for them. Harry lay there, lost for words. Dumbledore hummed a little and smiled at the ceiling. "Sir," said Harry, "I've been thinking, sir, even if the stone's gone, you know who. Call him Voldemort, Harry. I've always used the proper name for my things. Fear his name increases in fear of the one thing itself." "Well, yes, sir. Voldemort's going to try other ways of coming back. Isn't he? I mean, he hasn't gone, has he? No, Harry. He has not. He's still out there somewhere. Perhaps looking for another body to share. But not being truly alive, he cannot be killed, left Quirrell to die. Just shows as little mercy to follow his enemies. Nevertheless, Harry, while you may only have delayed his return to power, it will merely take someone else who is prepared to fight that what seems a long losing battle next time. And if he is delayed again and again, why, he may never return to power. Harry nodded, but stopped quickly because it made his head hurt. Then he said, "Sir, there are some other things I'd like to know. If you could tell me things I want to know, the truth about the truth Dumbledore said. It's a beautiful and terrible thing, and there therefore be treated with the great unicorn. However, I shall try you answer the questions unless I have a very good reason not to, which in case I beg you'll forgive me. I shall not, of course, lie." "Well, Voldemort said that he only killed my mother because she tried to stop from killing me. But why would he want to kill me in the first place?" Dumbledore sighed very deeply. "Alas, the first thing you asked me, I cannot tell you. Not today. Not now. You will know one day. But put it from your mind for now. Not now. You will know one day. Put it now, Harry, when you are older. You hate to hear this, but you already know. You will know." And Harry knew it would be no good to argue. But why didn't Quirrell touch me? Why couldn't he? Your mother died to save you. There's one thing Voldemort cannot understand, is its love. He didn't realize that love is powerful as your mother for yours leaves its own mark. Not a scar, not a visible sign. You have to be loved so deeply, even though the person who loved us is gone, will give us same protection forever. It is in your very skin. Quirrell, full hatred, greed, and ambition, sharing his soul with Voldemort, could not touch you. For this reason, it was agony to touch a person marked by something so good. Dumbledore was now very interested in a bird that came out on the windowsill, which gave Harry time to dry his eyes on a sheet. When he had found his voice again, Harry said, "And the invisibility cloak? Do you know who sent me?" Your father happened to leave it in my possession, and I thought you might like it." Dumbledore's eyes twinkled. "Useful things. Your father mainly sneaking off the kitchen to steal food when he was here." "And there's something else. Fire away," Quirrell said. "Snape." "Professor Snape, Harry." "Yes, him, Quirrell. I said he hates me because he hated my father. Is that true?" "Well, they did rather detest each other. Not unlike yourself and Mr. Malfoy. And then your father did something Snape could never forgive. What? He saved his life." "What?" "Yes, Dumbledore. Funny this ways people's minds work, isn't it? Professor Snape couldn't bear being your father's debt. I do believe he worked so hard to protect you this year because he felt that would make you him and your father even. And then you could go back hitting your father's memory in the peace." Harry tried to understand this, but it made his head pound, and he stopped. "And sir, there's one more thing, just one. How did the stone get out of the mirror?" I'm glad you asked me that one. That was one more brilliant ideas, and you and me, that's saying something. You see, only one who wanted to find the stone, find it, but not use it, would be able to get it. Otherwise, they just see themselves making gold or drinking an elixir of life. My brain surprises even me sometimes. Now, enough questions. I suggest you make a start on these sweats. Bertie's bought every flavor beans. I was unfortunate enough in my youth to come across a violet flavored one. Since then, I'm afraid and rather lost my liking for them. But I think I'll be safe with a nice coffee, don't you? He smiled and popped the golden brown bean into his mouth, and then he choked and said, "At last, earwax." Madame Promptly, the nurse, was a nice woman, but very strict. "Just 5 minutes," Harry pleaded. "Absolutely not. You let Professor Dumbledore in." "Well, of course. That was the headmaster. Quite different. You need rest." "I'm resting and lying down at everything." "Oh, go on," Madame Promptly. "Oh, well," she said, "but 5 minutes only." And she let Ron and Hermione in. "Harry!" Hermione looked ready to fling her arms around him again, but Harry was glad she held herself in his head and very sore. "Oh, Harry, be sure you were going to Dumbledore. He was so worried. The whole school's talking about it," said Ron. "What really happened?" One of those rare occasions where the true story is even more strange and exciting of the wild rumors. Harry told him everything. Quirrell, the mirror, the stone, Voldemort, Ron, and Hermione. There was such a good audience. They gasped in all the right places. And then Harry told him what was under Quirrell's turban, and Harry and Hermione screamed out loud. "So the stone's gone?" said Ron firmly. "Flamel just gonna die?" "That's what I said, but Dumbledore thinks that he has enough left to well-organize my death, but the next adventure. I always said he was off his rocker," said Ron, looking quite impressed on how crazy his hero was. "So what happened to you two?" said Harry. "Well, I got it back all right," said Hermione. "I brought Ron around. It took a while, though. And we were dashing up to Owley to contact Dumbledore when we met him in the entrance hall. He already knew," he said. "Harry's gone after him, hasn't he?" He muttered in the third floor. "You think you meant to do it?" said Ron, "sending your father's cloak and everything?" "Well," Hermione exploded, "if he didn't, I mean to say, that's terrible. You could have been killed." "No, it isn't," said Harry thoughtfully. "Give me a chance, I think. He knows more than less than everything that goes on here. You know how I reckon he had a pretty good idea for what he was going to try, and instead of stopping us, he taught us enough to help. I don't think it was an accident. He let me find out how the mirror worked. It's almost like I thought I had the right to face Voldemort as if I could." "Sorry." "Yeah, Dumbledore's off his rockers, all right," said Ron proudly. "Listen, you got to be up for the end of your feast tomorrow. The points all to Slytherin won, of course. You missed the last Quidditch match. We were steamrolled by Ravenclaw. Without you, but the food will be good." At that moment, Madame Pomfrey bursted out. "Now you've had nearly 15 minutes. Now out," she said firmly. After a good night's sleep, Harry felt back to normal. He wanted to go back to the feast. He told Madame Pomfrey as she was straightened his many candy boxes. Can't I? Professor Dumbledore says you are to be allowed to go," she said stiffly, as though, in her opinion, Professor Dumbledore didn't realize how risky feast could be. "And you have another visitor?" "Oh, good," said Harry. "Who is it?" Hagrid sidled through the door as he spoke, as he usually was indoors. Hagrid looked too big to be allowed. He sat down next to Harry, took one look at him. He burst into tears. "It's all my ruddy fault," he sobbed. In his face and hands, he told the evil git how to get past Fluffy. "I told him it was the only thing he didn't know, and I told him he could have died. All for a dragon egg. I'll never drink again. You should be chucked out, made to live as a muggle." "Hagrid," said Harry, shocked to see Hagrid shaking with grief, and great tears leaking down his beard. "Hagrid, he found out about somehow. This Voldemort we're talking about, he'd have to find out even if you hadn't told him. You could have died," sobbed Harry. Sobbed Hagrid, sorry. "And don't say the name. Voldemort," Harry bellowed, and Hagrid was so shocked he stopped crying. "I've met him. I'm calling him by his name. Please cheer up, Hagrid. We saved the stone. It's gone. We can't use it. Have a chocolate frog. I've got loads." Hagrid whispered, wiped his nose, and put on the heck and said, "That reminds me, I've got you a present." It's not a straw sandwich, is it?" said Harry anxiously. At last, Hagrid gave a weak chuckle. "Nah, Dumbledore gave me the day off yesterday to fix it. Of course, it could have sacked me instead. Anyway, I got you this. It seemed to be a handsome leather-covered book." Harry opened it curiously, full of wizards' photographs. Harry opened it, smiling and waving at him. Every page was his mother, father, sent owls off to your parents, old school friends asking for photos. No, you didn't have any. Do you like it? Harry couldn't speak, but Hagrid understood. Harry made his way down to the end of the year feast alone that night. He had been upheld Madame Pomfrey's fussing about, insisting of him keeping one last checkup, so the great hall was already full. It was decked out with Slytherin colors of green, silver to celebrate Slytherin's winning for the House Cup in 7 years in a row. A huge banner showing Slytherin serpent covered the wall behind the high table. When Harry walked into there was a hush, and then everybody started talking loudly at once. He slipped in a seat between Ron and Hermione at the great Gryffindor table and tried to ignore the fact that people were standing up to look at him. Fortunately, Dumbledore arrived moments later. The babble died away. "Another year gone," Dumbledore said cheerfully. "And I must trouble with you an old man's wheezing waffle before we sink our teeth into our delicious feast. What a year has it been! Hopefully your heads are still fuller than they were. You have the whole summer ahead to get it nice empty before next year starts. Now, as I understand it, the House Cup here needs awarding, and the points sent us in 4th place, Gryffindor with 312 points. In 3rd, Hufflepuff, 352. Ravenclaw has 426, and Slytherin, 472. Storm of cheering, stamping broke out from Slytherin table. Harry could see Draco Malfoy banging his goblet against the table and sick. Yes, well done, Slytherin, said Dumbledore. However, recent events must have been taken into action. To what counts? It went very still. The Slytherin smiles faded a little. A few last-minute points dish out. Yes, let me see. First to Mr. Ronald Weasley. Ron went purple in the face and looked radish red with sunburn. For the best played game of chess at Hogwarts has ever seen in many years. I award Gryffindor House 50 points. Gryffindor cheers raised bewitched the ceiling. Stars overhead seemed quiver. Percy could heard to tell the other prefects, "My brother, you know. My youngest brother got past McGonagall's giant chess, eh?" At last, there was silence again, second to Miss Hermione Granger for the use of cool logic in the face of fire. I award Gryffindor House 50 points. Hermione buried her face in his arms. Harry strongly suspected she burst into tears. Gryffindor and the table were down beside himself. They were 100 points up. Third to Mr. Harry Potter, said Dumbledore. The room was deadly quiet. For pure nerve and outstanding courage, I awarded Gryffindor House 60 points. The din was deafening. Those who could add up were yelling themselves. House knew that Gryffindor had 472 points, exactly the same as Slytherin. They had tied for the House Cup. If only Dumbledore had given Harry 1 point to it. Dumbledore raised his hands and the room gradually fell silent. There are all kinds of courage, said Dumbledore, smiling. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies. But just as much as to stand up to our friends, therefore award 10 points to Mr. Neville Longbottom. Someone standing at the Great Hall might well have some sort of explosion had taken place, and there was a loud noise that erupted from the Gryffindor table. Harry, Ron, and Hermione all stood up to hear, as Neville, white with shock, disappeared under a pile of hugging him. We had never won so much as a point for Gryffindor before. Harry, still cheering, nudged Ron on the ribs and pointed at Malfoy, who couldn't have looked more stunned and horrified, as he'd just been body-bind curse had been put on him. Which means Dumbledore called over the storm of applauses. Even Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff are celebrating the downfall of Slytherin. We need a little change of decoration. He clapped his hands in an instant. Green things hanging came scarlet, and silver gold became gold. The huge Slytherin's serpent vanished, and towering Gryffindor lion took its place. Snape was shaking Professor McGonagall's hands with horrible forced smile. He caught Harry's eye, and Harry knew once that Snape's feeling toward him hadn't changed one jot. This didn't worry Harry. It seemed as though his life would be back to normal next year, or as normal as it ever was at Hogwarts. It was the best evening of Harry's life, better than winning the Quidditch or Christmas or knocking out mountain trolls. He would never forget tonight. Harry had almost forgot that the exam's result was still to come, but they did. To the great surprise, both Ron and passed with good marks. Hermione, of course, had the best grades the first years. Even Neville scraped through his good herbology mark, making up for his admissal. Potions won. They had hoped that Goyle, who was almost stupid, as he was a man, might be thrown out. But as he passed too, it was a shame. But as Ron said, you couldn't have everything in life. And suddenly there were wardrobes and empty their trunks packed. Neville's toad was found lurking in the corner of the toilets. Notes were handed out to all students warning them not to use magic over the holidays. I always hope they'll forget to give us these, said Fred and Weasley sadly. Harry was there to take them down to the fleet of boats, and they sailed across the lake. They were boarding the Hogwarts Express, talking about laughing as the countryside became greener and tidier, eating Bertie's Bots, every flavor beans, as they passed the Muggle towns, pulling off their wizard robes, putting on their jackets and coats, pulling into platform number 9 3/4 at King's Cross. It took quite a while for them to all get off the platform. A wizard old guard was up by the ticket barrier, letting them go through the gate 2 and 3s so they didn't attract any attention, by all bursting out of a solid wall at once, alarming the Muggles. You must come and stay this summer, said Ron. Both of you. I'll send an owl. Thanks, said Harry. I'll need something to look forward to. People jostled them as they moved forward towards the gateway back to the Muggle world. Some of them called, Bye, Harry. See you, Potter. Still famous, said Ron, grinning at him. Not where I'm going, promise you, said Harry. He, Ron, and Harry went past the gateway together. There he is, Mom. There he is, look. Skinny Weasley, Ron's younger sister, but it wasn't pointing at Ron. It was Harry Potter. She squealed, Look, Mom, I can see. Be quiet, Ginny. It's rude to point. Mrs. Weasley smiled down at them. Busy year, she said. Very, said Harry. Thanks for the fudge and sweet sweater, Mrs. Weasley. Oh, it's nothing, dear. Ready, are you? It was Uncle Vernon, still purple-faced, still mustache, looking furious at the nerve of Harry carrying an owl cage. Station full of ordinary people. Behind him stood Aunt Petunia and Dudley, looking terrified at the very sight of Harry. You must be Harry's family, said the Weasley. In the name of speaking, Uncle Vernon, hurry up, boy, we haven't got all day. He walked away. Harry hung back for a last word with Ron and Hermione. Do you have the settlement then? Hope, have a good holidays, said Hermione. Looking certainly after Uncle Vernon, shocked that everyone could be so unpleasant. Oh, I will, said Harry. There was surprise at the grin that was spreading over his face. They don't know we're not allowed to use magic at home. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer. That is the end of the book. And thank you for reading with me. And this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Goodbye.